Welcome back to the Satisfactory Beginner's Guide, except this is no longer the Beginner's Guide. This is actually something completely different. I said at the end of my Beginner's Guide I wanted to do the biggest nuclear power plant I could possibly do. And I'm a madman. I figured it out. I had some help with some tools. I'll show you all that later. But I figured it out. So, if I were to do what I want to do, the nuclear step, I'd need 252 power plants, 60,480 water just for the power plants, and it'd produce 2,520 waste, and produce 630,000 megawatts of power. Now, the step 2 is the plutonium, which takes that 2520 waste, and we convert it to plutonium. So I'd need 224 power plants, which would require 53,760 water, and would produce 224 plutonium waste, and generate 560,000 megawatts of power. And then step 3 is the fixonium, to completely get rid of the plutonium waste. I'd need 112 power plants, which would require 26,880 water per minute. There'd be no waste, and would generate 280,000 megawatts of power. And this is all zero overclocking done. It's all at 100% clock speed. This is what I would need. So in total, I'd need 588 power plants, 141,120 water. I'd get rid of all the waste, and produce 1,470,000 megawatts of power. If I could do this. If I can do this. And how did I come up with these numbers? Well, I looked and I saw there's only 2,100 uranium on the map. That's the maximum we can get. And I figured that certainly has to be the limiting factor. So I went with that. And I calculated, I used a Satisfactory calculator and had it generate as many uranium fuel rods as I could possibly get with 2100 uranium. And I'll show you that website and how I got that to be in a little bit. But for now, just going to kind of run through here. So nuclear requires all of this. You can pause it and look at the numbers. And it doesn't seem too bad. Plutonium requires all of that. You can pause it and look at all the numbers. Again, doesn't seem too bad. When it says water, that's additional water on top of what the water I need for the power plants is. That's what that is. And then step 3. This is where it gets to be a little dicey. Now, I found out that uranium is in fact not the limiting resource. It's SAM. Now, I know it says 9,333.33 SAM. There's actually more than enough for that. But the reality is, I need double that. I need 18,666 SAM. There's not that much SAM in the world. And I was stumped for a bit, and I was like, how? How do I generate the most amount of power that I can possibly do? Then it hit me. We take all of the SAM, convert it to reanimated SAM, and we summer sloop that step. Every single bit of it, we summer sloop it. And we effectively cut the amount of SAM that we need in half, which means we have enough SAM to make this work, but I have to summer sloop it. So, in total, that is everything I need. So you might notice I need almost 27,000 iron ore, almost 19,000 copper ore, almost 33,000 limestone. That's a lot of stuff. And 10,250 bauxite. Like, we almost maxed out the bauxite too that's in this world. Now, how did I do that? I'll show you the map in a little bit, but first I want to show you the Satisfactory website that I use to generate the recipes that I need, and use to figure out what alternate recipes I need. I needed all these alternate recipes, and I got them. Those little dash marks are me getting them, so yeah, so I'll show you kind of how I set that up, and then I'll show you the spreadsheet I set up, so I always have it referenced. I always know what I need, step by step by step. And then I'll show you the map of what I've done and give you examples of what I've done, and then tell you what I plan to do in this video. So let's go take a look at the Satisfactory calculator in my spreadsheet. Alright, I'm over here on the Satisfactory calculator website, where you can see all of the nodes and availabilities around here. You can also see all the mercer spheres and stuff. There's also a planner here. So if you click on this planner, click on production planner, you can basically set up an idea of what you want for your factory. Oh, give me a break. You might have to watch an ad. Yeah, so this website does have some ads. If you're using an ad blocker, I'm sure you won't see any of these. It's not hard to avoid them. So we have an output section, input section, options section. So in the options section, I'm going to select all alternate recipes. So there's 112. Nothing crazy here. We're not going to do any converter recipes, no mods. In the input, we're going to add uranium, and we know there is a total of 2100 in the game. And in the output, we wanted uranium fuel rods, so you find that, and then it gives you this whole breakdown here. Now, I did mess around with some of the alternate recipes, because let's be real, I do not want to be providing alien protein to make biomass to do biocoal. That's stupid. So I'd come in here and I'd search up biocoal, for example, and I'd uncheck that, and then it redoes the whole thing. And I don't want to be using wood to make charcoal. Nobody wants to be doing that. That shit's dumb. So I come in here and I take out charcoal. And I just kind of keep doing that to see if there's any recipes that I was just not willing to use. And the only ones I really wasn't willing to use were the ones that required a non-infinite source. If I had to provide it by hand, I didn't want those. So you can come in and do all that stuff. But basically, this says 1 per minute, and we're not using that much uranium. I mean, we're using 41.67. This is where you have to kind of mess around and get this number to match that number. So let's say I put in 25. It would adjust all of that, and my uranium is now 1041.67. So now I know I can double that. So if I do 50, now I know I'm well within the range. I'm 2083.33. I found the perfect number because that's just what I do. It's 50.4. And I really want to max it out. So 50.4 takes 2100 uranium per minute. And I am going to max it out. And so that's how I found out my uranium step. So then I took the output of the nuclear power plant. I figured out how much uranium waste. I put that in as my input. So instead of uranium, this would be uranium waste. You put in how much you're producing. And then you want an output of plutonium fuel rod. So you figure that out, and then you do the same thing with plutonium waste to make fixonium fuel rods. That's basically the general gist of this website of how you set this up. And you can take out recipes you do not want to use. I decided to use the recipes that this calculator is trying to provide for me, because I think this would be really fun to mess with recipes I've never done before. So I took all of the steps and I put it into a gigantic spreadsheet here. And when I say gigantic, I mean gigantic. So this is A1 over here. It goes all the way out to AF. And it goes all the way down to 633. So this is a massive spreadsheet. I don't know if I can show you the sheer size of this. I think I can. Yeah, so if I just give you 50%, just look at that. So all of my yellow, green, blue is my inputs that I need to collect. The red here is the waste from this step up here. This is the maximum we can do. This is 2100 uranium. That is the max we can do. Here's everything I need to do in order to produce this. It's insane. So the nuclear step is from 1 to, what is that, 170? Yeah, that's 170. And then the plutonium is 171 down to 357. And then it's the fixonium is 358 down to 633. So there's a lot in this, and we're gonna take it one step at a time. And like I said, what I want to do is I want to start with this iron ingot recipe here. So let's go back to 100%. So this iron ingot recipe is the basic iron ingot recipe in the foundry. It's just iron ore and limestone. I added all of that up over here. So for nuclear, I would need 43, a little over 43 foundries just for this step. And then in plutonium, I need about 86. And then in fixonium, I would need 180 for a total of 309. And I need 7,710 iron and 12,337 limestone. That's a lot, but that's what I plan to do. And it'll be the same thing with the copper alloy. It'll be the same thing with the deuterium. Every step I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to put them in their own buildings. I think that'll be pretty cool. But yeah, I have a huge spreadsheet. I know what I'm doing. It's just going to be, what's going to happen first? Am I going to burn out from this project? Am I going to complete this project? Or is Satisfactory not going to allow me to complete the project? We'll find out. Because I know some other creators have done massive builds like this, and they can't, they're like reaching the item limit or something. It's like I don't know, they're reaching a limit somewhere. I'm bound to hit that limit, especially with this project. We'll see. This is more of a question for me of, can I do this? And is it possible? Mathematically, it's possible. Physically, is it possible? We don't know. And I'm also a madman. I apparently like to make myself suffer. Here we are. So let's hop back into the game, and I'll kind of give you an idea of just how much stuff this requires, all the logistics that it requires, everything. Like, we're talking, I had to pull resources from all over the map. So I want to show you what that looks like, and then I want to give you an idea of what I'm going to build, and then I'll build it, and then we'll kind of go through that. So yeah, let's hop back into the game. Alright, we're back in this world, and I did set up a bunch of machines that had all of these alternate recipes, like this infused uranium cell. I have that. And then like the uranium fuel unit alternate recipe to produce extra uranium fuel rods. Like, I got all the recipes I need. The one that I'm really interested in doing is not that one. Oh, this one. Yeah, this one right here. This dissolved silica. This distilled silica recipe. Like, this seems really fun. And I think it's here. Yeah, so rock quartz and nitric acid give me quartz crystals and dissolved silica. I've never messed with this recipe before, so this is going to be a first for me. I'm excited to try it out. So, if we take a look at the map, I marked out all the resources that I needed. All of them. As you can see, it kind of goes all over the place, and my cartograph is still initializing, which is crazy. This has been running for like 15 minutes at this point, and the cartograph hasn't initialized yet. So we'll have to take a look at that later, but basically, like, this down arrow is all iron. This curvy arrow to the right is all SAM. This swoopy arrow is oil. So I marked them like that. And I marked out how much there is and where they're located, and then I set up a bunch of train stations all over the map. And I can show you some examples here, so I'll run to this train station over here. It doesn't look the best. I get that. If the nodes were close, I did just belt them in, like right there. I got a belt of stuff. Oh, and by the way, there's a huge platform. I got prepared. This platform never ends. But yeah, I got some stuff over here. We got Caterium, limestone, copper, and then uranium's right there. That came from the top. Our train highway is coming in handy. I thought I was crazy when I built it, but now looking at this, I'm like, I'm glad I built this. But even here, I got a bunch of stuff that came from nearby. So here's all the oil. And then we got some iron and some SAM. And then over here, this is all the stuff from just over there and in the cave. That quartz and SAM is from the cave. So, yeah, this has been crazy. But if I follow this new train line here, we'll see that there is a train station. In fact, there's a train station up there that you can see. Here's a train station. Yeah, there's a bunch of train stations. So, yeah, so I set up a bunch of trains. And I set up a bunch of areas to collect resources. So, for example, I got a bunch of iron right here. Tried to color code it so it looked better. And all the iron is coming from the northern forest up here. And I set this up all over the map in places that I had it. If my cartograph could initialize, I could show you. So over here is probably the craziest trains I've set up. Because I got two of the longest trains I've ever set up in the entire time that I've ever played right here. So I got a limestone train here that is 26 cars long. And this thing struggles to move without a second engine. I need to put a second engine on this thing. But this thing struggles. It makes it, but it struggles. So that's 26 cars long, and then my iron over here is 24 cars long. And let me tell you, both these struggle. But it's cool though, seeing these super massive long trains. It looks like a snake going. But I could show you an example here. I don't know if the cartograph is done yet. It's at 98%. Come on. Alright, we're going to take one of these for a spin. Just to kind of give you an idea. So, let's take this, this limestone one here. So if I set up, oh yeah, this is perfect. So turn on self-driving. And then it'll do its docking. But look at that, that's so crazy. I love it. So we'll dock here. I also found out that I colored the first two trains here. And then I tried to copy and paste the trains down the line, thinking it would copy the color. It does not. You have to put the color in manually for all of the trains. But yeah, here we go. So you can see how this train is just struggling to pick up speed. It's insane. So we'll just kind of ride this. And I did calculations to figure out how many cars I'd need. And I gave a lot of leeway just in case. I don't know if it's enough, but we'll find out. But basically, this train has to go all the way down here. Which is insane. If we look behind us. Look at that. That is so cool. That's insane. I love that. It is a snake. And then we come down here and it's got to hit this intersection. But if we look at the train, oh, that is so cool. I love that. I love that so much. So then we'll hit the junction here and go exactly where we need to go. I plan to do like a little rail yard over here so a bunch of trains can be riding down these tracks all at once. I think that'd be pretty cool. Oh my goodness. That's so cool. But basically this is what I've been using to test the time that I need for these trains. I had a test station there. And then we just do the timing with this. So the big problem with this is we have to go back up that big hill again. And that's going to be pretty difficult to do. So yeah, especially with this long of a train and only one engine, it'll struggle. It will. And I'll kind of show you what I mean by here. So we should really put in a second locomotive. And I'm thinking I will do that because, oh my goodness, this is going to be bad if I don't. Now we have to go up this really, really large hill. And as you can see, we are losing speed. And the power required to push this train up the hill is increasing. That's how bad this is. But it's doing it. It's chugging along. But we still got a long ways to go. But yeah, this is the perks of building all your trains to 1 meter ramps only. 2 meter ramps, I would not be able to make it up. I don't think. But 1 meter ramps, it surprisingly does it really well. But you can see we're down to 60 kilometers per hour. Come on. But we made it. We're down to 56 kilometers an hour, 106 megawatts of power to pull up this. Oh, that's crazy. But yeah, we go back to the backside here. I'm thinking of splitting this into 2 trains. I'll have to add another train station. And yeah, I was thinking of doing that so we don't have this issue anymore. I might not. We'll see. I'll either add another locomotive or I'll add another train so I can cut this down to 13 cars instead. I'll figure it out. But basically, this is it. This is what I'm gonna do for all the resources, bringing it by train. Okay, surely the cartograph mod is now fully loaded. It is. There we go. So I built this huge platform. And I'm pretty sure this is like 250 by 150 foundations. And I was planning on doing the nuclear reactors over here. And all the materials over here. Like all the building. So it's going to be a large project and a multi-part series. So if you enjoyed the beginner's guide, which we're still on that map, by the way. Oh gosh. There's our rocket fuel power. There's our beginner's guide area. If you're a fan of that, you'll enjoy this. definitely. So I set up, well, this train highway has been here for quite some time, but now I set up a bunch of train stations collecting resources. You can kind of see them getting dispersed into there. Here's nitrogen being dispersed. Yeah, there's a ton of resources being collected. There's a large copper train, and then a small sulfur one. We got, I didn't name these ones because I'm an idiot, but there's a bunch of stuff over here too. Here's the one we were just at with the large limestone train and the large iron train. That's pulling from all of this. I didn't want to put a train station down here because it's hard to get connected to this area because this is all going uphill and then it goes back downhill. It's pretty difficult to do that. Over here we got a pretty large one here. I actually had to split the nitrogen train into two here, into two 15-car ones. So I am willing to do that. Same with the bauxite. I did a 12 and a 5. So I could definitely do that for this limestone up here. I have a train station that goes all the way out here because I had to collect the SAM from out here. There's a SAM up here which wasn't hard to get, but this one was deep in a cave that I had to pull out. Let's see. I got a train station over here that's picking up SAM and bauxite. I got some over here. Yeah, there's train stations all over the map now. It's pretty crazy. So, yeah, I mean, if you ever want me to just do a train tour sometimes, or like a train ride, let me know. I can do some train ride videos. I'm perfectly content with that. Just know that my train stations are really ugly. I wasn't putting a whole lot of effort into these. I just wanted to get them set up. Maybe in the future I will put more effort into them, but for now I just needed to get this set up. So now that you see all the logistics to get all the raw resources to our area, I'm going to show you what we're going to do in this episode. This episode is going to be pretty simple because we're just starting out. I showed you what we need to do. I showed you the spreadsheet that I have. So now I just need to actually start building it and figuring out where I want to put all this stuff. So for this episode, I want to do the basic iron ingots. So that'll be iron ore and limestone in a foundry. And I need to decide where I want to build this at. I honestly think building it over in this corner, kind of starting off in this corner, would be the best solution. Because then I can start kind of filling out this way and back and doing whatever I need to do. So I was thinking, well, first of all, I need to get trains in here. This is going to be insane. I need a massive quantity of iron ingots. And I'm not just building for the first step. I'm just going to build it all the iron ingots that I need. I got to open up my spreadsheet here. I need 309 foundries, which is 7,000 iron ore and 12,000 limestone. Oh, yeah. So, there's a lot of work to be done. If I were to plop down a foundry, I'll show you a recipe I'm using here. It is this basic iron ingot recipe, so 25 iron ore and 40 limestone to effectively double the iron that I'm producing. So, limestone's cheap. It's easy. Iron's also cheap, but I need a lot of iron ore for other stuff. So this is probably good that we're doing this here. So now we know what we're doing with the limestone. We know what we're doing with the iron. We only need to set up 4 train stations for this. That's pretty good. So 2 each from here, 2 each from here. I don't mind that. I can live with that. So let's see. The rocky limestone. I don't know how many are here. I'm going to have to double check. Same with the rocky iron at both these locations. But yeah, I'm basically going to set up 4 train stations and a bunch of foundries in this area in this corner. And then I'll kind of give you a rundown of what happened. Because let's be real, you don't... It's going to be kind of dumb to watch me do all of that. It's placing a ton of foundries. It's placing a ton of train stations. I'll show you the end result. And then we'll build the building. I'll give you an idea of how I'm building the building. And then we'll call it there. So, let's go. Well, I've made some progress. I wanted to give you a little bit of a progress update. This is King's Iron Ingot Forge. And it looks pretty cool. I like this. I like this a lot. I'm still a little shaky on this thing here, but I'll think about it some more. I felt like this was plain. This is way too plain, but I really like the side here. So what this is there's a half foundation behind the signs. I'm out of power. So there's signs here, and there's a half foundation behind it that I attached all the signs to. And then I put the double ramps all the way through, and that's the effect that you get. The stairs are pretty easy. Just do some alignment of the foundations. I showed you how to do this in one of my beginner's guide episodes, so you should definitely take a look at that and follow that. And then it's pretty simple up here. I did plan for an extra floor, but I don't think I need it now. I don't think I need it. With the setup I have, I'm not going to need the extra floor. So this is going to be expandable for something else. And I don't know what we're going to do with that yet, but if we go inside. So the trains are down here. I don't know if I showed this off. I don't remember if I showed any of this off. But, anyways. I put the train down here. And I have these, like, columns throughout. And the train stations sit under here with a bunch of lights. It looks pretty good. I made it as long as the longest train we had, which is the Rocky Limestone 1 location. This was, I think, 14 cars long, plus the engine. So, that's coming in through here, and we leave out this way. And then I got a train. The trains come in from two directions. My cartograph isn't initialized, but you can kind of see it here. I got the two trains coming in this way, and I got two trains coming in this way. So, now we can actually see a train coming now. We'll just kind of wait for that to come up this way, just so I can kind of show you what's going on. So, it comes up this way. It's empty right now because I haven't turned on the actual miners because I'm not ready to yet. I just have the trains running because it's cool to watch. And then it follows this path because we needed to go over those trains. And it goes down there. It's pretty cool. We got the other side coming too. So I wonder which one's going to get here first. They're actually arriving at the same time. Oh, that one has to stop. There we go. So there's that train. And now this one can go, and there's the other train. It's pretty good. I like it. Yeah, I like this system a lot. So there we go, that train goes now. It's basically the same pattern on the other side, except we don't have an entrance on this side, because it's not supposed to be an enterable side. This is the train side. So that's where the trains go. The other side comes along this way. And I'm using one of the single line tracks, just because it's cool. But I did have to kind of do something weird when it came to this. I have signs, by the way, so it kind of tells you where you're going. I think the signs look pretty good. I don't know if I showed those signs either. They're just there. But yeah, I just got these little frame signs. It's pretty good. It looks pretty good. But like here, it's basic iron ingots, iron ore, and limestone come down this path, which is this junction here, this crazy, crazy junction. And the trains come from this side. I could not figure out a way to turn them in nicely. So I brought them down here. And I'll show you this. This is kind of cool. So I brought them over here. I went a few junctions, like a few of these away, a few block signals away. And I have a little roundabout here. So it kind of juts off this way and just loops back around. And it works really well. I just put a little path signal here so that any trains coming from that way will see that the train's trying to loop around. So should be pretty good. I hope it works. It should. I'll go show you the interior of that build. It looks so good from here. I haven't even seen it from here yet. That looks awesome. Come on, give me a break. That looks awesome. I like that. If I could just make that central building taller, that would be even better. But I don't need to for the iron, so I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do with that. We'll figure it out. So, if we go inside... Oh, please make it, please make it, please make it, please make it. There we go. So let's go inside so I can kind of show you what I've been working on here. And if it is King's Iron Ingot Forge, like I said, if we come inside, you'll see a lot of frames in the ceiling and a lot of lights. It's pretty cool. And then I got these overhanging frames here to provide more structural support. And yeah, so I was playing around with the idea of setting up like kind of sets of foundries. So if you look at this recipe here, it's 40 limestone per minute, 25 iron ore per minute to produce 50 iron ingots. So our limiting factor is actually going to be the limestone there. So if you take 1200 divided by 40, that is 30 foundries. We can set up 30 foundries. So that's what I did. But I didn't want to set them up in rows like I've been doing. The rows were just looking bad at this point. So I was in my Discord and I was hanging out with some people, Grottos and Fenrir and AWOL. And I was just like, I really want to make this look better, but I don't know how. And AWOL said, well, why don't you kind of do a wraparound, like make it a box? I was like, what do you mean? So he kind of walked me through how I should do it. We set up the outside, and then he's like, can you fit more on the inside? And sure enough, I was able to get exactly 30 in this box here. So we have 6 on the outside. We have 4 on the outside as well. So that around the edge is 20. And then I put 5 on the inside in 2 different rows, and that is the additional 10 that I need for 30. And then I tried to figure out how can I set up the belts so it looks pretty good. So the belts, the inputs are on the outside. They start on the outside, so we're gonna start here. These are 2 inputs, so one of them will be limestone, one of them will be iron ore. And they'll wrap around the entire outside of the machines, and then they will come through here and meet on the inside, and they'll go down the line, and then they turn around and go down the line, and then they end right at the end here. So that's the 1200 limestone, and then we'll just have to kind of do some math to get the right amount of iron to come through here. So we'll figure that out later. I might have to extend the iron. I might use the iron on the top level here, because I might have to take this iron and go somewhere else with it. But I'll worry about that when I get to it. And then the interior, we're producing 50 per minute. We have 30 machines. That's 1,500. We don't have a belt that can handle it. So I split it in half. So we have 15 machines on this line here. So this is a Mark V belt. And I just merged them all together, and then I have 15 on this set here. merge them all together. And then they fit perfectly that I could go underneath, and I had to do little stub conveyor lifts. And I bring them over and I bring them out. So this was really cool. And that's where the outputs are. So I think this is really cool. I really enjoy the look of this. Now I have to do this 9 more times. And I have 4 quadrants on each side. And then I have an additional 4 quadrants in the middle. But I want the entrance to be free. I kind of want to make that like a reception area. And then you can like walk around, kind of like just walk around and stuff. I want this to be fully walkable. That's the other thing too. And I want to figure out how to hide the power poles. I haven't figured that out yet. I don't want them on the ceiling. I don't think that'd look very good. So I'm going to try to hide them underground, under the foundations. Since thankfully I use 4-meter foundations, I can actually hide stuff in between, which is pretty nice. But yeah, I just wanted to give you an update on where I'm at. I basically need to do this 9 more times, and then this factory would be ready to go. So I'm gonna work on that, and we'll get this started. We might not be able to start the actual factory, but we'll be able to connect everything up. And we're gonna have to work on a copper building next, because we don't want the copper to fill up at the train stations. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'll come back when I'm done building all this. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. Alright, I got everything connected, or at least almost connected. All the limestone has been connected, so I've been running the limestone underneath the foundations here. So every single one of these has a connection from the trains. So I'll just connect that back up, and then I've gotten the conveyor belts full of iron nearby, so I can actually start connecting these up. And then I set up a bunch of sinks so that these don't overflow. I just want to get these connected, and then I can turn on the train station at some point. I probably won't turn the train stations on this episode. I want to set up the copper first before I do a full transition there, but we do have some iron and we have limestone, so we can take what we have and just connect it. So once I do that, we should start seeing the basic iron ingot starting to produce, and then it'll all just go to the sink. So we will know that this will at least work. So there we go. There's the basic iron ingots. It'll shut off once we run out of stuff here, which is completely fine. But I might as well connect up all of these here. So this one, for example, we can connect up. And this one should kick on here pretty soon. There we go. And then I can connect this one up right here to there. And we should start seeing that one turn on. There we go. So we'll let those empty out, and then we can connect up these 4 over here. So we'll connect that up to there. And that should start here. There we go. A little bit of a save lag. That's completely fine. We'll connect that up. That one should be going. There we go. And then we'll connect this one up. Let that one start going. There we go. And then the red one over here. I spent a lot of time setting these up, just so you're aware. This took a while to do. So then we just got 4 left, and that's all of them over here. And we can see all those belts are moving. We just got 4 left here, so we can connect up this blue belt here to that location, and that'll take care of that. And then we can hook up this one here And that should start sending that one. We're good. And this one to here. And then this one to here. So we do have a mess of belts on the bottom level here. That's okay for now. This is just to send everything to the sink. I know I'm kind of going through the sinks. It's whatever. It's not a big deal. When I am finally ready to get this moving, I will redirect these belts somehow and probably send them out the back side here and then send them to where they need to go. But for now, this is what we're dealing with. We should see every belt moving or empty. So yeah, there's all the belts moving. That looks so cool. I love that. There we go. So the King's Iron Ingot Forge is complete. That is exactly what I've been wanting to do. I have a mess of conveyor belts over here. This is my... How do I call this? I put 750 iron ore on each line. That is what this is doing. It's sorting it to 750. So each of these are 12. So I combined 3 into 1. So you can see we're combining 3 into 1. Each of these are 400 per minute. So you combine that and you get 1200 per minute in each line here. This one's already empty, that's fine. And so we got 600 per minute in all 4 of these lines. Plus I have another 1200 over here. And that's coming from a miner. So that is coming, I don't have my cartograph open, but it's coming from these 3 miners. And then I split it. So I have 2 separate lines. And then the 150 is coming from these train stations because each of these is transferring 300 per minute. So if you take the line, let's follow this green line for example. This green line here, I send it up to the splitter and I send it 2 ways, so it's 150 each direction, and it connects to a belt, and that'll make it 750. It'll connect up to one of the 600 belts and it'll make it 750. If it's a little bit extra, if it's a little bit higher, that's completely fine. It'll just be 780 since I limited these to, well, that's a Mark 4. I limited them to Mark 5 belts. So they won't get that much more if that's the case. So yeah, that is basically the Iron Factory. I made this huge glass walkway here because I needed to grab all this limestone from a different location, and I needed to grab this iron from a different location. That's the Iron Ingot Forge. It is complete. Next episode, I plan to make the Copper Ingot Forge. I don't know what I'm going to call that yet, but the Copper Ingot building. And I might put it on top of the Iron Ingot Forge, because you saw how massive this building was. The copper ingots is going to be even bigger. I'm going to need more trains. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but I might set up trains in between this episode and next episode so it doesn't take so much time. Episodes might come out pretty slowly because these take a long time to do. So please be patient with me. I will try to stick to a 2 video per week schedule. I'll probably have to make some other additional videos in between episodes until I can get these episodes ready. This project to get this first episode out took me over a month to do. This took a long time, and I was able to take a month and upload this shortly after my last episode of the Beginner's Guide, because I was actually like a month ahead in the Beginner's Guide. So I started working on this when I was at like episode 19 in the Beginner's Guide, because I'd already completed the Beginner's Guide. So yeah, this has been a long work in progress. Copper shouldn't take as long. I'm hoping to get this up in the next week or two, like the copper episode. This will be, yeah, a week or two from this episode. So we'll see if that happens. But I'll still try to stick to that 2 videos a week schedule, no matter what it is. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.